back on Get Up and delighted to welcome Nick Saban, the legendary coach from Alabama, who's joining us here from SEC Media Days. His team looking to rebound after a tough loss to Georgia in the national championship game. Despite the loss, they entered this season as the preseason favorites to win it all. And a big part of the reason for that is their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Bryce Young, the junior looking to join Archie Griffin as the only players ever to win the Heisman twice, if he's able to do it. And of course, for the coach, he's looking for his 8th national championship. It would be his 7th at Alabama. All other active FBS head coaches combined have 5 national championships. And we are, again, delighted to welcome Nick Saban, who is live with us from SEC Media Day. Coach, we always appreciate this. Thank you very much. And I would love to be cheerful here, but these are sort of strangely tumultuous times in your sport. So first off, in a big picture, what is your reaction to all of the realignment that we are seeing across the sport right now?
Well, I think that, mega conferences may be something that, we all have to deal with in the future. I think, probably, money probably drives a lot of this. I can't blame people for that. It's sort of above my pay grade, though, to know, what we should do as a league in the SEC or what any other league should do, but I think as we progress forward, the mega conference, will create, a little more of a caste system maybe in college football, and I think everybody's got to decide if that's the direction we really want to go or not.
Well, I think your opinion is as important as any. Is that a good change or a bad change in the long run and the big picture for a sport that you've basically dedicated your whole life to?
Well, I think probably for the haves, which obviously at Alabama we're one of the haves, it's probably a good thing. For some of the have-nots, some of the, sort of, I don't want to know what you would say, second half of each league, maybe it won't work out as well. Maybe there's some system like, the Pro Soccer League in Europe where you can, play your way into it. I don't know how it all works out. I know that one thing that we've always tried to do is keep competitive balance in college athletics, and I think this could affect that, significantly for, some people in college football.
I saw you talking about that passionately in a really fascinating interview you did with our friend Greg McElroy on his podcast. Relative to all the change in affiliations, in traditional rivalries, the geographic challenges that are being presented here, what would you say is your biggest concern?
I really don't have a concern because, what I've learned to do through the years is, whatever happens, how can we adapt to that so that we can maintain sort of a standard of excellence that's going to help us be competitive on a consistent basis. So that's what I try to stay focused on. I think that's my job, and I think that's the most important thing we can do for our players and our program.
That's fair. The other big piece of this, of course, is name, image, and likeness. These two things are coming upon the sport at the same time, and they're both causing all of this seismic change. How has NIL, as it is known, already changed the way college football operates?
Well, first of all, I think name, image, and likeness is a good thing for players. And I'm all for players having the opportunity to use their name, image, and likeness to make money. But I do think, right now we don't have a lot of guardrails, sort of around this. And I do think, you go back to that same old thing that we've always tried to do in college athletics, is to create a competitive balance that is fair for everyone. I think transparency in how some of these things is done is probably important, and I think protection for the players, is really important in this, because you're going to have a lot of people, third parties, trying to get between the player and the money, and right now we don't have any protection for the players when it comes to that, sort of like the NFL Players Association does with, their agent system. So all these things are challenges that, we're going to have to try to adapt to in the future, and I'm sure we have a lot of good people that'll try to do a good job of creating the changes that are necessary to, maintain some standard of competitive balance in college athletics.
At the end of the day, it is about, or it certainly should be about, what is the best for the people, the players, these young men that you're talking about. What questions and concerns now are you hearing from them and their families as you are recruiting and coaching these guys?
I think the big thing is, how this is being used in recruiting, because A, It's not supposed to be used in recruiting, but a lot of promises are being made. And where I think, high school players should make a decision about where they go to college based on, how can they develop value for their future? That's why we all went to college. Your personal development, developing a career off the field, how you do academically, the support that you get, so that you can prepare yourself for life, after football, and what kind of career can you develop as a football player. So, that really has a lot more value long term, and that's what we try to stay focused on to make sure we're doing a good job of that for our players so that they can be more successful in life. So some of these things can be looked at somewhat as impediments to making choices and decisions that are going to help you do that. If you're not looking down the road and not being short-sighted. So I'm concerned about how this impacts and affects recruiting more than anything else, because these are promises that are made that, who knows whether they get, they really come to fruition or not.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.